the cloud. All right, so we are in role play and ROLLPLAY, and I'm going to do a bunch of nervous system stuff today to kind of work on sort of resetting from deep inside. And I want to actually start, you can, all of this whole class, you can do anything you need to do. So you do not have to follow what I'm doing. You can do your own thing. You can listen to what I'm saying, take it in, but really much more important than listening to me is listening to your own body. So as you're in the process of all of this stuff, just really listening into what feels good and right to you. So I want to start with, it's theta breath. It's a really light, soft breath that is a sound, but it's a non-vocal cord sound. So it's just a hiss. And it's like your tongue is slightly behind your teeth, like this. And it could be a TH also. You could go, so you could play with that. And you want to think of just letting your body relax around that sound. So as effortless as possible, playing with this theta sound. And using the sound of the theta to just come into your own awareness of sensation. You can take resting breaths anytime you need them. You do not need to keep going. You don't need to last as long as I last. It just goes as long as it goes and then re-inhale. It just slows down the exhale nicely and helps us sort of find midline. And you can participate with this with eyes open or closed. And it's interesting for me today, I'm just going to share my experience because I have earplugs in or earphones. The sound of the exhale sounds a lot like a wave coming into the shore, like a long, slow wave. So the idea of just inviting in any kind of wave movement into your torso that feels nourishing or interesting or even like curious. So you're inviting the whole head-tail connection to come online. We're going to keep using the theta breath for a few more breaths, but just finding a relationship from your head to your tail and inviting movement into that relationship. Any kind of ripples, waves, rocking. And then either continuing with that breath or letting the breath go, imagining your brain like a big bulb, and from your brain, a big wet bulb, a big wet squishy bulb. And from your brain down through your foramen magnum, the big hole in the bottom of your cranium where it's all coming down, your spine is coming down, your spinal cord is coming down. And thinking of that whole brain, spinal cord relationship as being very fluid and wet. So the idea of the brain into the spinal cord being like a river, like the energy of a river that actually is a two-dimensional river. Things can come up and in and things can go back down and out. So it's not a two-directional, bi-directional river. Things can move in any way within the river of the brain to the tail, head to tail fluidity. And allowing your body to move with that. And if it feels okay and right, I'm going to invite us to come down onto the floor from there. So coming into a laying position, and again, allowing the sensation or the imagination imagination of this river from your brain through your nervous system, down through your spinal cord, to sort of soften and readjust, giving your body from the inside, from your nervous system, that deep central river moving through your body, even out into your arms and legs, allowing it to readjust in any ways that it needs to. So you're opening up your mind, heart, pelvis, awareness, intuition into this idea of your internal guidance and your inner healer giving you some space. So listening in for your body to just tell you how it needs to move, with this idea of the fluidity of the spine, the fluidity of the brain, allowing the cerebral spinal fluid, which is bolstering your brain and your nervous system, to gently move through your body. So it is supporting the space around your nervous system. It's also delivering nutrition and clearing up waste. So our movement is just helping that filter. We're becoming these sort of moving filters from the head to the tail. Maybe your hands and toes want to get involved in any way, that's fine, or arms, legs. But finding this central channel, it's very connected to sensation and awareness, and allowing it to inform your movement. And if you find that you get into a pattern and that pattern keeps repeating, shift it around. You can slow it down, you can speed it up, you can change the directionality or the space it's moving within. And again, inviting any kind of rippling, waving movement to move through your torso, through your back. If you need to roll, that's fine. Any kind of delicious movement that supports you being you, supports your body, your mind, your spirit, your heart, your brain, your guts. But coming from this deep place of the nervous system, this sort of life energy that's flowing through you. And it's also an information system. So listening into the information system. If you think of even like one of those Alex Gray paintings of the body with all of these energetic patterns moving, inviting that stuff to brighten, to become more alive, more online. You could also imagine that you're swirling, like those paint swirl things. I don't know, I made them in kindergarten, where you put water in a pan and then you dropped paints on top of the water and it made this huge swirly pattern. So inviting that internal swirly pattern of fluidity to move around inside your body. Letting the color, if there is color in there, bring awareness to the areas that you're sensing and feeling. And trusting that whatever feels interesting or desirable is what is interesting and desirable, and you are allowed to do that. And I'm going to add another breath. And this breath is a lot like the theta breath, except for it's just a little more gentle. So instead of having your tongue behind your teeth and going like this, it's almost like your tongue widens out and spreads, and it becomes a. So it's really letting the air come around your tongue. Tongue is kind of wider. And from that place with that sound, allowing this awakening of internal space. If that is what is happening for you, you may be in a different place, in a different mindset. That's fine too. giving your tongue freedom to change shape, allowing your face to relax, allowing your neck to relax, allowing the weight of your body to drop into the floor. So giving in to gravity, allowing the gravitational pull of the earth to hold you and support you, and also to help create form. The form of your body is very much in relationship with gravity. So allowing yourself to pour yourself around, maybe letting your movement get a little bit bigger and more expansive, maybe coming a little towards the surface of your body, bringing your awareness out to the edge. And then letting it come back in whenever you feel the call or the pull. So one of the images that comes to mind for me are like those undersea creatures. I think one of them is actually called Pygnopodia, and it's like one of those creatures that have many, many, many tentacle limbs. They're almost all just arms and legs coming out, and they sort of flow with the water. So, and they kind of, if you touch something, they can really retract into themselves. So they're reaching out into the water and then maybe coming back in, but giving that idea of this sort of sea creature to your nervous system, that your nervous system has this idea of reaching out into the world and coming back in. Information is going out and information is coming in. And actually that's happening so quickly that we can almost not tell what's going on. It's beyond our consciousness. But we can imagine that we can know what's going on. So playing with the imagination of allowing yourself to reach out, allowing the fluidity in your body to express in a more oceanic, spiraling way. So kind of allowing yourself to break down the idea of being human into the idea of being this organic, alive being, just exploring. And coming back to the breath whenever you want to, adding that. Giving yourself permission and freedom to move in ways that feel good. Or to even be still in ways that feel good. And I'm going to add a little bit of music since I have screen shared sound. And hopefully this isn't too loud. But just allowing the music to also inform this feedback loop of fluidity, nervous system, and awareness. So in movement analysis, we have this idea of sort of navel radiation, like coming into the center and out from the center. Like if we were starfish, our belly would be, our mouth would be in our belly. So you can think of this idea also as something to find the sense of expansion away from and coming back into center, inviting in the sort of starfish energy in the really underwater sea creature imagery today. Inviting spirals, ripples, things to radiate away and to come back in. It's also a developmental pattern for babies. So after they've been born, maybe one of the first things is just sort of amorphous moving, but then they start to reach out and bring things in. They often are ready to taste and try the world. So thinking of inviting in that sense of reaching out and coming back in. I feel like it's a huge metaphor for how we live our lives. Like, when are we ready to go out? And when do we really need to come back in? Allowing ourselves to reach out, to taste the world, to taste life, and then to come back in and digest it. It doesn't all have to happen out there. A lot of it, most of it, can really happen inside. So, coming back to this idea of sort of the central channel of the nervous system from the brain through the spine, out through the limbs, out to the organs, and also thinking of these long nerves that are coming down from our head, those cranial nerves that move through our organs. And just inviting them to soften, to become more easy. And all of these nerves are routed through our fascia. Like, the fascia is the organ of form that's holding us all together and creating us in a weird way, or shaping us. So when we move, and when we move with more variety and more possibility, we're giving a little bit more of a, it's almost like the movement of our fascia is giving our nervous system a massage. So allowing that kind of spiraling, twisting. It doesn't have to be huge stuff, not like a big yoga twist where we're doing a big spiral, but things that are small in the tissue, in the fascia, just wakening up and enlivening. And also filtering. It's filtering and processing in our body. Taking a couple more minutes to explore whatever you're exploring. And then finding a place to bring that to a close. And if you're watching in TV land, give yourself a few minutes of just resting. But I'm going to stop the recording.